Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks very much for coming back, by the way. Where am I? Sitting on a hillside up in Tala. Great view through the trees, over the rooftops, straight out into the blue Mediterranean Sea. Now, today's topic, the bad things about living in Cyprus and some of the things to prepare yourself for. And there's a lot of bad things in Cyprus, by the way. Number one is the weather. The weather is absolutely terrible. The majority of the year, the sun is shining, everything's blue, and it's just far too hot, especially in June, July and August. So it could be one of the reasons why you shouldn't come to Cyprus. Hold on a minute, rewind. Isn't that the reason why most people want to come to Cyprus? It is, yes. They came on a holiday, perhaps for a week, perhaps for a fortnight, and they understood the weather's fantastic. It doesn't rain very much, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, obviously. But overall, the weather is up there with some of the best weather in the world overall on an annual basis. Yes, it's a little bit hot towards the end of June and July and into August. But what that means is that the other 9 months of the year, to be honest, are very good indeed. Get a little bit of wind and a little bit of rain through those traditional wintry months, but we don't tend to find ourselves slipping and sliding on ice or in the snow, unless you want to go up into the Troodos Mountains. So if you do want to go skiing or slipping and sliding, you can. And it's only an hour's drive at the very best. Well, maybe in the snow it's a bit longer, I don't know. I don't tend to do it. I tend to sit by the blue Mediterranean Sea or by the swimming pool. Yes, even in December and January. Perhaps a little bit cold to go in, but many people do, as I'm told. So the weather, perhaps not as bad as I said that it was. But there are many bad things about living in Cyprus. Traffic jams, they're absolutely terrible. So if you're thinking about moving to Cyprus, perhaps from London or Paris or New York, be prepared to be stuck in traffic jams from morning until night. If you want to get from this side of Paphos to that side of Paphos, and remember, that's about a mile, so about 1.6 kilometres, that's going to take you somewhere around about 10 minutes. Yes, because it's gridlock traffic and there's traffic lights everywhere and speed control vans and all these kind of things. But hold on a minute, I hear you say. That doesn't sound too bad. No, it doesn't. To be honest, the traffic's not bad. Certain times of day, obviously, when schools are finishing, you can find yourself in gridlock traffic, and sometimes that traffic jam can last as long as 5 to 7 minutes. So we do have a traffic congestion problem in Cyprus. We do indeed, but not compared to many other places, even moderate towns in and around the UK, Germany, France, Italy and so forth. So perhaps the traffic jams aren't quite as bad as I made out. What else have we got that's bad? Cost of living. Cost of living is through the absolute roof. That's all you ever hear about, people saying that prices have gone up and they can't afford to eat out, they can't afford to go and buy a coffee. It's all over the internet, it's all over the news. Any news station that you watch, the presenters tell you about the cost of living. Not that it bothers them that much, because they probably earn far more than you and me. But anyway, back to the cost of living in Cyprus. The cost of living in Cyprus is through the roof. It truly is. Today, if you want to buy a nice hot latte, it's going to cost you somewhere around about €2.50 to as high as €3 for that hot latte. And that is scandalous. Hold on a minute, you say. Back in the UK, it can be €4.50, €5 or more. And in some countries around Europe, it can be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 euros. So hold on a minute. That means that perhaps the cost of living in Cyprus is not that bad. No, it's not cheap. Don't get me wrong. Don't be thinking you're going to come and live in Cyprus and live a fantastic lifestyle on €1,000 a month. You're not. You're going to need a little bit more. And the majority of the people watching the little channel known as Marika and Me, and those people who perhaps are considering coming to relocate to Cyprus probably have got an income of somewhere around 4,000 plus euros. So £3,500 per month plus. Now, if you're able to live in your country, let's say the UK, France, Germany, Switzerland, when you come to Cyprus, you're going to find it's, shall we say, a little bit cheaper. I would say around about 20% cheaper than the cost of living in the UK. If you're coming from Germany, probably a little bit more again. If you're coming from someone like Switzerland, and I was talking to a couple only the other day, and they said that the minimum wage in Switzerland now is 4,000 euros per month. That's what they said in Geneva. I don't know if it's countrywide, but in Geneva. Now, most people in Cyprus do not earn 4,000 euros a month, I can promise you that. Now, I'm not going to get into a slanging match, because often when I talk about the wages, the pay in Cyprus, people come on and start saying, oh, you mix with the wrong people. But the average person that you're going to come into contact in Cyprus earns around about 1,500 euros per month. Some earn less, and of course some earn a lot more. But the average person, the person you meet working in a shop, in a supermarket, these people, 1,500 euros. So 1,500 euros a month compared to 4,000 euros a month in Geneva, that's a big difference. And when we talk about the UK, well, so we're told the average person in the UK now, the minimum wage is somewhere around £25,000. If I'm correct, or if I'm wrong, drop it into the comments. That translates to approximately, let's keep the math simple, 30,000 euros per annum. And that brings me on to a point, because perhaps you're thinking about coming to live in Cyprus and you're coming from the UK. And perhaps many people have told you that you can't come and live in Cyprus, especially after Brexit, because Brexit did cause the odd problem or two for the British population that perhaps want to come and live in countries in Europe, in this case, Cyprus. And yes, Brexit did cause a huge problem. Now, if you want to come and live in Cyprus from the UK, you're going to need to have an income of approximately 30,000 euros for yourself and your partner. But hold on a minute, didn't Mr. Paul just say that the average salary, or the minimum, so I'm told, is approximately £25,000, which is approximately 30,000 euros. Wow. So all of a sudden coming to relocate to Cyprus is not that far away, is it? So start a plan, put it into motion, and start to come up with a plan of how you can work remotely so that you can still get that UK income when you come to live in Cyprus. And you will be surprised about how many opportunities there are for you to work remotely. Yes, indeed. And perhaps if the company or the chosen career profession that you're in doesn't allow you to work remotely, perhaps rethink it a little bit, rejig it, and find a way how you can work remotely. But then you could be living in Cyprus and having all of its benefits, like the terrible weather, the terrible traffic jams, and the through-the-roof cost of living. But it gets worse. There's many, many other bad things in Cyprus. You know, the local people, they are just much, much too friendly, to be honest. You go into a shop, you go into a mall, you go into a supermarket, and you'll find the local population, that's the Cypriots, are open and welcome, and they're really, really nice to you, and they help you. And you know, you by mistake drop a €50 note on the floor, and you get a tap on the shoulder, and they say, excuse me, you dropped this money. Yes, I know you don't believe me, but it's true. I went to a car wash the other day. I like to keep my cars clean. So I was in a car wash, and I was sitting there twiddling on my phone as they did it, and then they said, oh, come over, I want you to wait for the car. Got into the car, and then the passenger door opened, and this young gentleman said, excuse me, this is for you. And it was a €50 note. Now, I know you probably don't believe me, but it's the truth. And I was presented with a €50 note, and I was like, a bit dumbfounded. But apparently it was under the seat on my car. And I do have this habit of, when people pay me, of counting the money. And obviously one of them must be slipped down the side. I'd forgotten all about it, or not even missed it. But they washed my car, took the mats out, hoovered under the seats, found the €50 note and presented it back to me. Now, I am not saying that that doesn't happen in the UK, and I'm not saying that that doesn't happen in other European countries. But I doubt it. Cyprus is a strange place. And I mean that in a nice way. I'm being all positive. Very, very friendly people. And to be honest, very, very honest people. Many times, unfortunately, we drop 5, 10 or more euros, I'm talking about. In your case, if you watch the UK, it would be pounds. And within the blink of an eye, someone has taken it. But in Cyprus, you'll find that's not the case. You'll find that you are able to leave your mobile phones on the table, your sunglasses, you're in a coffee shop, you're in a restaurant, and you wander off to have a chat with someone, or perhaps you go out to your car, perhaps you want your cigarettes or whatever it might be. When you come back, guess what? All of your items will be in exactly the same place. And if you do walk off and leave something, you'll find if you go back to that coffee shop or to that restaurant, 99% of the time, someone will say, "Excuse me, you left your sunglasses." And I've witnessed this, and many people who watch the channel have witnessed this. So there's not much negativity if you live in Cyprus. Now, we can all find negativity. We can always have that meeting with someone and it doesn't go that well. You know, perhaps they got out of the wrong side of bed that morning, or perhaps you did, who knows. But in general, your reaction with people in Cyprus, whether they be Cypriot, whether they be British, German, Russian, French, doesn't matter. It will be friendly, relaxed, and you'll probably have a laugh as you try to communicate through, in most cases, English, isn't it? Because that's the commonality of language throughout the world. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video. I hope you've enjoyed me poking fun at the stresses of living in Cyprus. And obviously there are stresses, don't get me wrong, because things are a little bit slower in Cyprus, and that's a good thing. But of course, when you want something done, if we are from the UK and Germany, these kind of countries, we want it done like that. Unfortunately, in Cyprus, it doesn't work that way. It's a little bit slower. It's a little bit siga, which means in time, shall we say. So if you are thinking about starting a new chapter, a new adventure in your life, why not consider Cyprus, and in particular Paphos. Now, Cyprus is not that big a place. It's big enough, by the way. You've got Nicosia, which is the capital city, and there are foreign nationals who live there. Most of them will be, shall we say, attached to the banks or probably embassies. I'm not saying there isn't the odd retired foreign national living there. Of course there will be. Then we have Larnaca. That's the rival, should we say, to Paphos. And then we have Limassol. Limassol, there are a lot of foreigners living in Limassol, but again, a lot of those people will be doing some kind of business. Most people who want a relaxed and chilled out lifestyle will choose the Larnaca area and Ayia Napa around that way. Protaras, you may have heard of that name as well. Or they will choose Paphos, and we have Coral Bay and we have the Polis area as well. These are the areas that most foreign nationals choose. And I think, I know people will disagree with me, but I believe that Paphos and its district suits most foreign nationals. It's got everything you want. It's got fast internet, for example, some great hotels, some great restaurants, car dealerships, all the things that you could want for your life, but a little bit more relaxed. Like I said, we do have traffic jams, and sometimes you can be stuck in one for, 5, could even be 7 minutes. It's terrible, but At least you know you're heading out towards Paya and you're going to your favourite restaurant on the beach and the sun is shining. That's the positive. So, massive, massive thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little rant, and hopefully you will drop in the comments if you liked it or not, and hopefully you'll tell me what you would like me to talk about, which aspects of Cypriot life, expat life in Cyprus would you like to talk about. What's it like going out to restaurants, these kind of things. If perhaps you're going to go and buy a car, what is it like when you go into a dealership? What's it like when you walk on a forecourt? I think you get the idea. So drop in the comments. Hopefully you'll hit the like. Hopefully you will subscribe to the channel. And hopefully you'll come back and join me again very, very soon indeed. I'll raise my coffee and I'll say yamas, which is cheers. Or if you're from downtown in Wales, yakida boyo. There we go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again very, very soon indeed.